Hello and welcome to today's video. Today we are here and it's another episode of the Racing Debrief. And today we're going to talk about some throwback racing, some throwback paint schemes, just in general, the overall weekend. So, first of all, I'm a big fan of the throwback weekend. I think it's definitely cool. It's a little unfortunate that we didn't see some of the teams doing it that we've seen maybe other years. Penske and Gibbs cars didn't really have many throwbacks. Penske didn't have any, and the Joe Gibbs cars, there was technically two, but are we really going to count the DeWalt car as a throwback? Not really. So those two teams didn't throwbacks, which is a bit unfortunate. For some of the bigger teams to not participate. But again, most teams, had things in there. Had some throwbacks, so it was cool. It's just so cool to see that. Obviously, as like a fan of the history of the sport, that's something that's just interesting to me to see the amount of throwbacks and the history to those cars is really cool. This year, I think that obviously the Hendrick cars, they killed it with the throwbacks. I mean, all four of them were very, very good. I mean, you've seen the Kyle Larson, Terry Labonte throwback to the Kellogg's car. I mean, that one was just amazing. I think that's got to be the best of the year. I would be surprised if it wasn't the fan favorite. I haven't seen what it was. I should actually take a look because I feel like it was. Of course, they was put out the most popular ones. So if we go to Darlington here, let's see what the fan vote winner was. Yeah, there's no way it wasn't the Terry Labonte championship winning scheme. I mean, fan vote winner. Who would have thought? Yeah, I mean that's the best scheme for sure of the throwback weekend. But I mean, Hendrick cars in general, the Hendrick cars. I mean, they had really good throwbacks. I mean, Chase Elliott's throwback to Dale Jr.'s National Guard, I almost said Nationwide, National Guard car from 2014 when he won the Daytona 500. That was cool. In the throwback that William Byron had to the Jeff Gordon car from, I believe, 2010, in that range, that was really good and cool throwback. And then, of course, the car Alex Bowman had, throwback to the original Jimmy Johnson Lowe's car from 2002 to, I believe it's 2005, maybe 2006, but the first Lowe's car. So throwback to that. So very cool. I've definitely ordered a lot of diecast from this weekend, as I typically do. I mean, looking around like what's on these shelves. I mean, there's a decent amount of throwbacks right there. I mean, everywhere. There's a lot of cars, but quite a few of them are the throwbacks from the throwback weekend. So, it's just overall a cool weekend. I mean, the Brad Keselowski car, which was the winning car, the Castrol Tom's car there, the Supra, Castrol Tom's, that is really cool. I mean, that's an iconic paint scheme, and of course, if you play Gran Turismo, as I do, that is a quite iconic scheme. So to see that on the racetrack was cool, and of course, see that car win was cool, and of course, see Brad Keselowski win's cool. Other throwbacks, I think those are the main ones with the Cup Series that I really enjoyed. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that I'm missing, but I think those are some of my favorites. I can look through. Actually, I should just look through and see if there's anything else that I'm missing here. I just had it pulled up on my computer. We'll go through, because I kind of just want to acknowledge some of my favorites that there were. I forgot about the Ross Chastain Busch Light. That's a really good one. Kind of the old Busch Light design, old Busch Light logo. That's cool. I mean, Busch Light's always done cool paint schemes. Again, Kevin Harvick, all-time favorite driver. I have quite a few Busch Light cars, especially in the last few years, and I really had my own job, my own money to pay for that. Obviously, since 2019, but I wasn't really buying diecast then. So really, 2020, I started buying a lot more, and obviously I had more money than when I was 15. So the last few years have really added a lot more for that reason. But yeah, I got quite a lot of Busch Light cars just because they always do so many cool ones. So another good one there for Ross Chastain. Anything else noteworthy from Cup Series? We were one of the Hendrick cars and Brad Keselowski's car, so no. Senator Series. I mean, I thought the just an all-guy throwback was cool, throwing it back to an old Brandt truck. That's kind of just cool, kind of unique. Of course, the throwbacks don't necessarily always have to correlate to a previous race car. It can correlate to something from the sponsor, correlate from something just in general like that. So it doesn't always have to be a throwback to a race car. So maybe a brand had an old logo or a old color scheme. So that's very cool to throw back to an old Brandt fertilizer truck. What other ones were there? It's not on the website here, but the Haley Deegan car that she had, the Dale Earnhardt throwback, that one's real cool. I mean, the Dale Earnhardt Wrangler car is cool. So to have the 15, which Dale Earnhardt did drive, that was a really cool throwback. And I hope that one does get made into a diecast. The car here that Leland Honeyman Jr. had, which is a throwback to the mellow yellow Kyle Petty car. I mean, the mellow yellow car is super cool and super iconic. So whenever that gets used, it's awesome, especially when it is the 42, which Leland Honeyman has. So Kyle Larson had that car. I believe it was 2015 he had mellow yellow. Maybe 2016, one of those years for the throwbacks. Kyle Larson had it. So again, you get that scheme. Of course, Kyle Larson had mellow yellow because it was through a brand new deal with Target. But again, this one here is cool to make a very similar logo to fit the sponsorship. Brendan Poole, Kyle Petty Hot Wheels throwback. That's very cool as well. I think that was the fan vote for the Xfinity Series. So, and then another one for the Xfinity Series I really liked was the Shane Van Gisbergen throwback to the Marcus Ambrose scheme. That's cool because that's the paint scheme I remember seeing race. A lot of these are either, if you go way back, you go back to 90s. I mean, I wasn't born yet. So those schemes, they're cool. I know they're iconic, and I understand that. But seeing a throwback to a scheme that I remember, racing 10, 15 years ago, I always think is cool as well. So, and of course, Shane Van Gisbergen and Marcus Ambrose have very similar racing backgrounds before coming to NASCAR, so it's cool to have that connection between them. Truck Series, I think the Corey Heim, Cale Yarborough throwback is a very cool scheme. Fitting with the number 11 on the car. Well, in this case, on the truck. Tyler Ankrum had the fan vote for the best throwback, which was going to be a Days of Thunder throwback. Again, I never watched Days of Thunder, so those throwbacks don't do anything for me. But that's a very popular movie in racing community, so understand why that would maybe win. Another trucks, I think the Thad Moffitt Petty 75th anniversary celebration scheme is quite cool throwback as well. Stuart Friesen with the Jimmy Johnson throwback to the 2010 car, 2010 Lowe's car. It's kind of similar to this. They kind of ran this for a few years. I mean, it's probably dusty, but it's kind of similar to this. A little different on the hood, but very similar design to this car, which I think is quite a cool one with the stars and stripes on it. Of course, that's a Coax's Under car, so it makes sense. But yeah, those are some of my favorite throwbacks. There's quite a lot on here. Again, the throwbacks is always just fun to sort of see. What is the best scheme, right? What's just a cool design? What are the teams doing this year? So it's always fun. I always look forward to seeing that when Darlington comes up. Of course, it was fun to get into the mood for throwback weekend. So, um, you know, seeing maybe some old NASCAR things that I have and my parents have is cool when that always comes around. My mom had an old Mark Martin sweatshirt kind of thing. Big number 6 on it, probably had to be from like early 90s. So that was cool. Um, and then my dad didn't really have throwback necessarily, but they're old driver. They're new production items, but they're you know obviously throwback to old shirt designs basically, or older looking designs. He had a Jeff Gordon shirt, so that's cool. Got the 2001 championship on the back, and then a Dale Earnhardt like retro looking hat, which you got last year when we went to New Hampshire. Also, I gave my mom this hat to wear for the day. Look at that old throwback Kevin Harvick hat. I don't really actually know if this is Truck Series or Busch Series 33. I feel like it's a truck, but it doesn't really like. I don't remember. I got this when I was so little. Probably like 2007. That's probably like 8 when I got it. I don't. I don't remember what it's from. And then I wore this hat because I don't really have as much throwback stuff because a lot of the stuff that I got maybe 10 years ago I was 15, 14, or things even before that I might have got when I was little. I mean, I was 8 or 9, so I don't have those things from 20 years ago that I can wear. So my throwback was the championship hat from 2014. That's what I wore. I mean, still a throwback considering that Sprint doesn't sponsor or exist as a brand. Budweiser's now using Busch Light. Jimmy John's isn't in NASCAR, and Kevin Harvick retired. So it's pretty much a throwback. And then this is my shirt. It's not really a throwback. I wear it most weeks, but still a few years ago now, right? 2021 or 22. I mean, it's not last season. But yeah, I really had the throwback like hat portion of mine because I don't really have any shirts from 10 years ago that are gonna fit. So yeah, there's that. But that was our throwback weekend. So that was fun to participate in, and that was cool because today's Mother's Day. So we'll have those throwback outfits in all of our Mother's Day pictures. So cool little thing there as well. But for the racing itself, we'll talk about the Xfinity Series and Cup Series, of course, as we always do. Kind of announced in a few episodes ago that we weren't really going to talk about the Truck Series much, just because I'm not interested enough to talk about it. But yeah, I mean, it was a crazy finish to the truck race, and Ross Chastain getting the win, and that was cool. So that's pretty much my acknowledgement of that. Again, wild race overall for the trucks. Xfinity Series, though, the Xfinity Series is always typically an interesting one to give a breakdown on. I think I stated it in a previous video. I'm always working on Saturday, so the truck races typically start 5 o'clock, 6 o'clock, whatever. So by the time I'm taking break at work, typically the race is either maybe I didn't even start yet. Some of them start at 7 or 8, so my break will just be ending or whatever. But it doesn't really matter, right? Come home, watch the full thing, or as this weekend, the race didn't start till 10. So when I got out of work, it was starting. So I just had it plugged in on play on an Apple CarPlay. So I just listened to the first basically stage. But yeah, the Xfinity Series is always interesting to break down because it's on Saturday. I'm pretty much always gonna be scheduled on Saturday. I mean, there's only 2 of us that work in my department on Saturday, so I'm always scheduled. Unless I take it off, I'm there. So those races start at 1 o'clock. I can't really, not catch something from it. So I try to just avoid using my phone when I go on break. I try to watch, first stage or whatever. So caught the first stage on break, and again, that's the part that gives it a weird breakdown because I watch it, 7 o'clock to 8 o'clock, go back into work for 2 hours, come home, put the race back on at 10:30. So it's a little weird when it's broken up. But yeah, I mean the first stage, Cole Custer was up there at the front. He pretty much led a good amount of that stage. I believe he didn't win it though. Justin Allgaier won it, but Cole Custer again early, doing really well. Which they were acknowledging that Cole Custer hadn't led a lap at Darlington, but he had a win. So Denny Hamlin got disqualified. I believe it was 2019. They said, and Cole Custer got the win. So interesting facts that his first times leading were Saturday's race, even though he's got a win at the track. But yeah, he the first part, but I believe it was pit stops that messed him up a little bit, set him back a little bit, and then Justin Allgaier pretty much had that race locked down the whole way. I mean, he dominated it. Won both stages, won the race, had the best car. I mean, there really wasn't much of a challenge for him. Once he got that lead, he was gone. So, overall, just dominant. Impressive for him, obviously. You see him close a few times this year. So to see him, get a win is cool. And, yeah, it's something that, he's obviously in the playoffs now, and it'll be interesting to see if he can go for a championship. I mean, Justin Allgaier's been in the Xfinity Series for quite a while, so it'd be kind of cool if he was able to, finally get a championship in there. Who knows? But, yeah, on to the Cup race. So this one was an interesting one to watch as well, just because, normally I could sit down and watch it, watch the whole thing through. But, being Mother's Day, we did other things. So we were playing, playing a board game, playing Wingspan. So I had the game going on the side. Of course, that's not really like a. You never played Wingspan. It's about birds, and you kind of. It takes a little bit to go through each turn. So, my parents playing, I was playing, and my brother, my grandma. So there's 5 of us playing. So it took a little bit to go through each turn, especially my grandma who's only played it one other time. So, my brother was helping her through it a little bit. So, I had the race on. I wasn't going to just sit and wait until almost 7 to turn it on and watch it. So, I had it playing, and again, it was just sitting there chilling. First stage, there wasn't really too much going on. I mean, Tyler Reddick pretty much had the race dominated for most of it. I mean, he started on pole. Every time there was a pit stop, even if he was, having his team make a little mistake, they got the hose stuck on the splitter, something like that, that was the first out, which, again, I know there's been a discussion before about having the pit exit lines so close to the pit box. I know that's one of the things at Phoenix. I think it should be something, maybe it's standardized at tracks. Because I think there's some tracks where that first pit box is such an advantage that, I mean, again, his team had a lot of mistakes in the pits, so it was hard for anybody to really overtake him on the pits, because he didn't. Which, again, I guess that is the, advantage of being in the first pit box, but I think that just moving it a little bit further, because, again, he was just able to launch and just cross the line. So, again, I don't think it's a big issue, but I think it's just interesting to maybe look at that going forward. Because, again, I know at Phoenix that's a big advantage, and that's the championship race at Phoenix. So, certain tracks maybe having a little difference in that wouldn't be a bad thing. But yeah, pretty much the first stage, Tyler Reddick dominated. Second stage, he also dominated. Now, interesting note, it was mentioned during the broadcast that whoever had won the second stage hadn't finished higher than, I believe, 25th at Darlington in the Next Gen era. So, Next Gen era, we're here into year 3, so we've had 4 races, 2 years of racing at the track. So it's not like it's just a one sample has a one race, right? So it's a little interesting of a note, which again, that does come into play at the end of the race. Once again, Tyler Reddick has gotten the lead, and a little bit of strategy is taking place. You're going to do 2 stops, you're doing 1 stop, whatever. all that goes out the window. Kyle Larson has a flat tire, hits the wall, spins out, and just his race is over. Unfortunate for him, but race is over for him, out of the race. So get the restart. Is this gonna be the last restart? Who knows? Obviously, anything can happen at the end of the races, as you will know, but you never do know, right? It couldn't just go green, and you got to go full send. So lines up at the end. Final restart. Tyler Reddick on the outside. He has chosen that spot. Outside's been the preferred line because you can just get a big launch around that high side. So it's not your advantage to pick the inside. So whoever's had that outside lane, which has been Tyler Reddick in this race, has prevailed. Go into the turn, stays ahead, car on the bottom. Can't really get an advantage out of the first turn, or out of turn 2. So Brad Keselowski, 110 races without a win. He's going for it, right? He wants to win. He hasn't won since Talladega 2021. So he wants it, wants that first win with his team. Obviously, he's been a team owner now for this being the 3rd year with RFK Racing. So he wants to win this race. Win it, advance to the playoffs, win for your own team. So he goes into the corner and he's full centered against Reddick. You can tell, okay, this is gonna be a little different battle. It's not gonna be a try for a lap or two and fall back and catch up. So Keselowski's had a car that has worked longer on the long runs, but it's taken him 25, 30 laps to catch up. The race only has 35 to go. Can't leave it that late. So this is his chance. He goes in the corner, him and Reddick going at it. Multiple laps, side by side. It looks like Reddick's going to clear him because I was able to put the side draft on him, just hold him back. Absolutely brilliant battling for the lead. And they're still going at it. It's got to be 3 or 4 laps. A little bit of contact. Fortunate for them to not get away with flat tire. But in the process, Chris Buescher's in 3rd. He's able to sneak by on the bottom, and he went so much faster than them. So he's in the lead. Reddick ends up getting 2nd over Keselowski. So at this point, it looks like, all right, Chris Buescher's going to drive away. Obviously, trying to get some redemption for last week when he lost by 0.001 seconds, the closest margin of victory ever. So he's trying to get redemption for that, right? Obviously, he dominated late in Kansas and lost in the last lap. So, trying to come out here and make up for that. Get this win, race a little bit of that heartbreak from last week. Because it's going to be tough to lose by that close of a margin. Yeah, have it come down to a camera replay of who won the race. So he's up in the lead, and I think it's like probably 10 laps to go. And Reddick finally has caught him. And goes in the corner. Reddick looks like he's going to make a dive. Slide job, clear up in front of him, but he didn't have enough room. Tries to back out slightly. Makes contact. They both go in the wall. Both flat tires. Both got to limp their cars around. So, again, heartbreak for Buescher, who's trying to recover from last week, and Tyler Reddick, who's absolutely dominant of the race. He's led 200, or not 200, he's led like 140 laps of the 250 laps the race is. So, again, difficult heartbreak there for both of them. But puts Brad Keselowski in a good spot. He's able to just drive away. And he was saving a little bit because Ty Gibbs was getting close. Ty Gibbs was going faster than him, but for a moment there, I was getting like, ooh, maybe we'll see a Ty Gibbs win, but not meant to be this week. Hopefully it's coming soon. But it's been a while. Last time I've seen my favorite driver in the Cup Series get a race win's been when Kevin Harvick won in Richmond in 2022. So obviously I'm looking forward to that. When Ty Gibbs does get that win, it's going to be an exciting moment. I know it's going to be worth the wait for it. So obviously Kevin Harvick didn't win last year. Ty Gibbs hasn't won yet this year. So yeah, I mean, it is weird because obviously I've had most of the years that I've ever watched racing seen my favorite drivers win races. I mean, that's just how it's been pretty much forever. So it's definitely weird, really, since 2021 to have a lack of wins. There's been interesting. So, obviously it's cool for Brad Keselowski to win, and I'm definitely excited. I was hoping, he'd get a win soon. So cool to see him there, and obviously understanding not seeing your driver win. And again, like I've said, since the end of the 2020 season, when Kevin Harvick won Bristol, to now, I've seen 2 race wins of my favorite driver. So, yeah, I understand that for Brad Keselowski fans, it's obviously going to be an exciting moment. So, for them, it's cool, and obviously Brad Keselowski winning is really cool, and I'm excited about that. I definitely was hoping to see him get a win. So, Ty Gibbs getting second, obviously is wanted one more spot, but Brad Keselowski winning is really cool. Just seeing the excitement for him, for the team is an awesome moment. So really cool that he got the win for sure. I'm definitely excited Brad Keselowski got the win. When it came down to the drivers at the front, right? You had Reddick, you had Busch. I was like, oh, please let Keselowski get ahead of them, right? So I was a bit disappointed when. It was a great move by Buescher, but a little disappointed that Keselowski didn't get by him or by Reddick and just had the lead there. So cool to see Keselowski get the win. I mean, I'm definitely ordering the diecast of that for sure. So yeah, Brad Keselowski gets the win in Darlington. Super, super exciting. So next week, the racing debrief. It's North Wilkesboro. And I'm excited for North Wilkesboro. This is actually a race that I have taken the Saturday off. Because again, for work, like I said, I always work on Saturdays. I take a few Saturdays throughout the year. I did last year. And actually started in 2022 when I started my job. A few Saturdays throughout the year. Because again, I don't work Sundays to watch racing. So I didn't want to, obviously, you can't really take both days off. But a few races throughout the year. If it's Talladega or Daytona, championship races, sometimes like a newer track, I will take off the Saturday and Sunday. So with Wilkesboro, super awesome. So I did take off that day. I think it's one of the only 2 days throughout the year that I took off for a truck race. But we will be talking about trucks next week because it is North Wilkesboro, which is one of my favorite tracks on the calendar. So North Wilkesboro for trucks, and then you have the All-Star Open, and then you have the All-Star Race. I think there's the heat races. I believe that might be on a Saturday. I haven't looked at the whole schedule for it. Kevin Harvick's going to practice for Kyle Larson. Kyle Larson's going to be doing IndyCar practice or qualifying or whatever it is. IndyCar for the 500's got so many different things. And then I believe, is the Indy 500 the week after that? Yeah, it is. All right, so in 2 weeks, we got the big episode of the Racing Debrief. It's going to be a real long episode because we got Charlotte, so we got trucks, Xfinity, Cup, we got Formula One, and pretty much the only time throughout the year the Racing Debrief discusses IndyCar when it's the Indy 500. So we got a lot of racing in 2 weeks, but next week's going to be a little lighter. North Wilkesboro for trucks, Cup, and Formula One for the Emilia-Romagna Grand Prix. So, look forward to that. And also just channel news. Maybe if you guys watch other content here on the channel. If you guys don't know, the GT Online race playlist, of course, every Sunday that goes out here on the channel. We got a special episode for you guys coming out next Sunday. It's the first 3-person race playlist since episode 1 back in 2016. It's myself, it's Jonathan, and we have Wen making a one-off return as a host for the first time since January when he announced he was stepping away from doing content. So, gonna be a super, super special episode. I hope you guys check that out. If you are into GTA racing, make sure you guys check that out. And we do have merch for that special race, special t-shirt on the FXCW website, fxcw.net. So make sure you check out that website in the links below, because that website also does feature some things that pertain to racing. We have point standings for Formula One and all 3 NASCAR series, and we also have an article section where you can see some of my articles that I've written about different NASCAR topics, F1 topics. We even have an IndyCar article, and just personal topics. So all of that is on there. So make sure you guys check that out if you haven't already. But thank you for watching. Hope you guys enjoyed, and we'll see you guys in the next one.